Pretium Engineering is pleased to be a sponsor of CCI's Open Mic webinar.
Pretium is a specialist building science, mechanical, and structural engineering firm with over 25 years helping condominiums across Ontario plan and maintain their physical assets. Whether it's a complex restoration project, a water leakage investigation, carry-on warranty claims resolution, or a roof or window project, we are ready for any challenge.
Although there may be requirements ethically or when you sign up to be a director to act in good faith, a lot of times the directors and officers' insurance policies don't actually exclude you from coverage if you're not acting necessarily in good faith. Usually the exclusions in the directors and officers policy are if you're doing something illegal or fraudulent, or if you're doing something for personal gain or profit. It doesn't necessarily evaluate whether or not you've acted in good faith to determine whether you get coverage or not. So we always obviously recommend that directors do act in good faith and in the best interest of all the unit owners when they're making those decisions to avoid those situations, but it may not necessarily, if someone accuses you of not acting in good faith, it may not exclude you from coverage still under that policy.
Although it does under the Act.
Mm-hmm.
So the policy is generous in that regard because the Act does require good faith and honesty in order to have that coverage.
Yeah, so in terms of in the insurance, you're right, maybe not, but in terms of the indemnification, yeah, then.
And that's where a board member, if they were to be negligent, then the condo corporation may not necessarily have to indemnify them. Is that the idea?
If they're not acting in good faith, they're in breach of their duties under the Act.
Which could be negligence.
Something that has always puzzled me with the Act, and I helped with some of the committees, is this final paragraph in notices of future funding, where typically it says there is no difference. But every once in a while, you get a board who's very active and says something along the lines of, we're suing the developer, we're going to get $1 million, so we've decided to not fund in accordance with the recommendations of the expert reserve fund planner, and we're going to wait till we get that $1 million and put it into reserve, which should happen over the next 3 to 10 years. And, you know, here's a form that the government endorses with a final paragraph that says, so tell us what the differences are, and why would boards not think that they were acting reasonably if the very forms themselves say, go ahead, tell what the differences are? And
why would they think it's okay to do something different than what the study recommends?
Especially when the government endorsed form says, go ahead, tell them what the differences are from the expert.
So
Well,
the form is
Act-
implying that that if there's a difference, that's okay, right? Yeah.
The Act actually allows that, right? So that the process is you get the study,
But
and
we
then you
all-
review the study, and the board makes the plan. So the plan
So the
that
non-
comes in the study is a recommendation.
So
technically.
the non-experts
Yes.
get to make a plan that doesn't comply with the experts. Are they still acting in good faith?
Well, that's a very serious question. Yeah,
Yes.
they may not be. If you're going to vary from the recommended study, the recommended funding plan that's in the study, you'd better have darn good reasons. And they may get investment advice that tells them that they can earn at a higher interest rate, or inflation's going to be different than the engineer has projected or something. So they may have good solid basis for doing something different, but 99 times out of 10 they won't.
There are some boards who will actually contribute more than what the study states, and that is a difference as well.
And that, yeah.
Yep, that's a
And
good
that
point.
does happen.
And I'll reverse that, because I have boards that have taken the study and believe that the contribution level is too high. And this is, I think, why that last part in there, allowing a board to make decisions. And they brought this to the AGM, to the owners, to let them know that they took the study was good, but the contribution level for that 3-year period was an enormous jump. And I think we're all seeing that as we're going forward with the new reserve fund studies. And the board, and stating it in the Form 15 and to the owners of the AGM, indicated that they would prefer to have a little bit of a lower fee, but that the owners must be prepared that in the event something comes out of sequence, replacement of a roof or replacement of windows as a townhouse site, a small site, so very conscious of money, is that you've got to understand that you've got to be prepared then to accept special assessments. So they said to the owner, we're going to contribute a little bit less, and everything goes right, we should be on the mark, but if something pops up that we don't know about, it's going to be a special assessment because we didn't put enough money away. And that was approved at an AGM, so it's not something that the board did arbitrarily. They involved the unit owners, and the unit owners felt that I'm only going to be here for so long,
It's a risk willing to take then.
then there's a risk I guess they're willing to take. But it's also stated in the staff certificate. So any purchasers coming in, that's clarified specifically in the staff certificate that the board has chosen and the owners have approved to use that sort of a process.